So in the last tutorial we learned how to create basic 3D geometry. In this tutorial we're going to learn how to move and rotate the object around the scene. We're going to come up to here to our toolbar up here at the top and select this select and move tool. Using this tool gives you this gizmo here. You can see that it has an arrow for the y-axis, a blue arrow for the z-axis, and a red arrow for the x-axis. To move our object around the scene, we just grab one of these arrows. You can see when you mouse over the arrows, it changes to to 4 arrows pointing in each direction. So we're going to mouse over one of these arrows, left click to grab that axis, and drag the mouse. When you drag the mouse, you can see that it is moving in the axis that we have grabbed. So in the direction of that arrow, it's moving back or forth. So we can do this for any of the axes. So if I hover over, left click and grab this y-axis, I can move it around in the y-axis. You can see in the other views how it's moving. And if I grab it in the z-axis and move it around in the z-axis, you can see how it moves up and down. It moves up and down in these these viewports too. You can grab these this gizmo in any of these viewports by first activating the viewport. To activate the viewport, I middle mouse click just to make sure that it's active, so that you have this yellow active box around it. And then you can grab the arrow and move it in that axis. So in between these arrows we have these boxes. These boxes, when you mouse over, highlight 2 arrows and your mouse changes again. So now that we have it highlighting these 2 arrows, we can move it in these 2 axes at the same time. So moving the mouse now not only locks it to 1 axis, it's locked to 2 axes, so we can move it around in 2 axes at the same time. You can do this from each view and it will move it in different axes. So if we come to the perspective view, we can see that these work as well. We're going to move on to the next tool, which is the select and rotate tool. This tool gives you a different gizmo. It gives you a rounded gizmo which has these lines in the middle. If you grab one of these lines, each of the lines represents one of the axes. So this green one is the y-axis, so I can rotate it in the y-axis. This red one is the x-axis, I can rotate it in the x-axis. And this blue one is the z-axis, I can rotate it there, like that, by left clicking and dragging the mouse. You can also select in the middle regions. So if you select in this middle region here, which is like a circle, which is not any one of these 3 lines, you just left click, you can see I can move all 3 axes at the same time, just by moving the mouse around. I wouldn't recommend doing this because you can quite easily get your object lost and you can make it sit at funny angles. Right, so we're going to move on to the scale tool. The scale tool gives you a different gizmo once again. It shows the 3 axes, the z-axis, the y-axis and the x-axis, and like the transform tool, the select and move tool, you can grab one of the axes and it will scale it in that axis. You can also, like with the move tool, grab 2 axes using these outer edge of this inner triangle. You can see how it gives you a triangle in the 90-degree angle. This inner edge here allows you to scale in 2 axes. This inner triangle here allows you to scale in all of the axes at the same time. We can also select these tools using the keyboard. The Q key on the keyboard uses the select tool. The W key on the keyboard uses selects the select and move tool. The E key on the keyboard selects the select and rotate tool, and the R key selects the uniform scale tool.